Hey, kia ora, my friends. Here I am, later than I would like to be. I was planning to do this outside. Well, I am sort of outside. I'm sitting on the veranda, but out under the trees back there, I found a nice little spot, carried a chair all the way over there, set up the tripod, and then it started pouring with rain. And I was already a little bit late. So, but of course, I had my laptop with me and everything, so sort of march back out of the rain and set up. And of course, as soon as I get here and it stops raining, but more than likely, given half an hour, it might rain again. It just sort of showers on and off here. It's not a big deal as long as you don't have electronics sitting out in the rain. It's not a big deal. Anyway, here we are. It's Chat with Matt. I'm on the island of Achu, and I'm just trying to start my computer. I am starting my computer. Let's be a little bit positive about this. I'm just starting my computer because I know there's a few questions written in. At least there were much earlier this morning when I was looking at that before I went about a much more relaxed version of morning. But yep, I have checked my Facebook already. Chat with Matt's on what we'd like to chat about. That's it. That's what I want to see. I want to see the comments, please. How do I do that? Just click on it. Come on, Matthew. Oh, I know. I need to refresh this page. Island time. So how you guys all doing? Chaotic as normal out there. We've got the full moon sort of sneaking up on us well, it's still 5 days away. So, but, I know it's looming because I was looking at the moon last night. Well over halfway towards full. Patrick, let's try to reconnect. Similar changeable weather in the Wairarapa. Interesting. Well, spring in Wellington region is generally changeable, along with the immutable fact that it'll be windy. Whether it's windy and cloudy, windy and sunny, or windy and raining, one thing's for sure, certain. Anyway, yeah, we won't get into talking too much about the weather. There's me live, so that's good that I'm here. And here are my comments. So yesterday, apologies, I was supposed to be doing this yesterday. I'm a day late, so I wasn't just 10 minutes late getting on the live stream. I'm actually a whole day late. So, yesterday we got the opportunity to go out with Birdman George, who's pictured in the invite there, the guy in the red shirt, who actually has a United Nations award for conservation for the work he's done here with the bird life on this island of Achu, which is, I think it's the third most populous island here in the Cook Islands, but I might have that wrong. It's second. It's definitely a lot smaller than Rarotonga and Aitutaki, where we spent the majority of our time. Although the island itself is probably about the same size as Rarotonga, or maybe a tiny bit smaller, but different topography and much less population. Like there's 300 people here at this time. There was about 1,500 people here not so long ago. Like, hey Sister Anne, hey Stacey, like about 20 years ago. Well, they were still growing taro here and exporting it, but that market fell over. And so when there's no jobs, people have to move, so they do. Originally, like 200 years ago, before white colonization, there was about 6,000 to 7,000 Polynesian people living here on this island. They were quite a strong race, the Achuans. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to say it, but yes, they were a very strong race of people, fierce warriors. Anywho's, so here we are, and yesterday, apologies, because we got the opportunity to go at Birdman George, and we were looking at one of the birds that he brought back from extinction, the Rarotongan flycatcher, which in 1980 there was only 29 of them, and now there's over 1,000, they believe. Lovely shirt. Oh, this is actually a little Balinese special. The gecko's on the shirt. Yeah, it's quite a comfortable one. It's nice and soft. It's a bit of a fave. for warm climate weather. So yeah, and we also saw some other endemic, which means it only lives here. Swift. It's not actually called a swift, but we're actually going later on today, not with Birdman George, but with another guy, Ben, into the caves where these swifts live. They're not swifts. I wish I could remember the name, but I can't now. We actually saw them flying. They're usually out of the cave between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. So we saw them yesterday morning catching. These birds don't roost anywhere. They don't, except in the cave, and they hang upside down, and they've got sonar. It's rather interesting. So they're kind of a bit bat-like, these little swift-like, swallow-like birds. Anywho, so we're going to see them. But we did see them on the wing yesterday from afar. And they are only here on this island, and there is about 600 of them, if I remember correctly. So yeah, it's rather interesting. These little islands in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the Pacific, have their own unique ecosystem and unique topography and environment. Really, it's quite amazing that you jump on the plane and you go to a different island, which is only 45 minutes away in a little plane, little 13-seater, and it's completely different rock formation, completely different vegetation, and completely different flora and fauna. Of course, there's some similarities, the seabirds and whatnot migrate, but these islands have been separate for long enough that they have quite unique features in terms of what's living here. So anyway, I suppose I better get to answering the questions. That's what we're here for, right? Rather than just filling you in on what I've been up to. And the beaches here are interesting, and the marine life we haven't seen much of yet, because snorkeling's not really a thing here, because the reef is so close to the land. There's not really a lagoon, and it was rather big seas. So we haven't been, we've just been for quick dips. Anywho's, here we go. So I'm answering from Joe, wrote a question, said, here's the question: can anybody speak light language? Do you just make up words or sounds, or are there certain sounds that you work with? How do you get started? So yes, I believe anyone can speak light language, and I don't believe, do you just make up words or sounds? Kind of, in a way, but you don't. For me, I can only speak to my experience, and I don't really intellectualize or think about even the sounds that are coming out of my mouth. I allow myself to express sounds, and those are the sounds that come out. So it's kind of like you're making it up, but you're not thinking about what you're making up. You're just allowing yourself to create in the moment different sounds based on an intention to serve some sort of purpose, right? Whatever your purpose is for doing it. You can do light language to express your emotions in a moment, right? And that's pretty much how I used to start, at least. If something happened and I felt an emotional arise, I could express that in light language, in short bursts of basically gobbledygook that felt like release for me. And from there, I played with using the language intentionally to achieve outcomes. So nice to hear you talk about environmental stuff. Fascinating. I'm going to sign off now as it's past my bedtime. Lots of love. I will look forward to the replay in the morning. Enjoy your sleep, Anne. So yeah, how do you get started? You find the courage and some alone time. I made the right decision because it's raining again. I tossed and turned whether I should just sit there and wait and think that I could start and it'd be fine, but in the end I chose to take cover. So yeah, you just start and allow yourself to express and not be in judgment and not think that this is stupid, this doesn't make any sense, it's not supposed to make sense. And it for me, it doesn't feel super woo-woo. It doesn't feel like I'm possessed. It doesn't feel like another energy has entered my body or anything like that. I know a lot of people think channeling should feel. We have expectations about some sort of other being expressing through us. And for me, it's much more like I'm just allowing myself to channel myself, right? To basically express my heart. I'm channeling my own heart. And of course, as that progresses, you get the idea that there is something a little bit more there, but it's not super obvious. That's what I want to point out to people. A lot of people think, "Oh, I'm not doing it. I'm just making this up." Yeah, that's how it feels. You're doing it right. If you're doubting it, then you're perfect, right? Allow yourself to doubt and allow yourself to continue through those doubts and just express yourself. Ultimately, the light language should make you. Generally, for me, makes me feel uplifted and or that I'm releasing something. So not always uplifted. Sometimes it's more cathartic, right? That that I'm expressing some pain, and that's entirely valid as well. But in general, it shouldn't be hard work. Just allow it to roll off your tongue and allow yourself to run with it. So hopefully that helps. There's no certain words that you should work with. I know some people do light language and then they believe that certain words or sounds mean certain things, and then they sort of use that to analyze the light language that they're bringing through or to translate. I don't. So I know a lot of people get confused and think that I'm translating the light language when I'm doing English mixed with light language, but we're not. We're not translating it. I'm not translating it. Certainly Matt isn't translating it. I'm allowing myself to express in English words as well as express in light language. So the English is more or less just augmenting the message or the energy, because quite often there's no message in the light language either. People say, well, what does it mean? And I say, well, it means nothing. It's energy transference with an intention to facilitate an outcome, whatever the intention is. And so there's no real message there. There's no real meaning to the sounds that we might be making. What's more important is the vibration and the cadence and the rhythms, which all creates vibrations within vibrations, of course, right? So there's the tonal vibration, and then there's the vibration or the frequency of the rhythms and the subharmonics or the harmonics. I don't know if you call them subharmonics. I'm not musically trained, but the in between sounds that are resonating. So that's why the language that we do, in particular, is reasonably fast, rhythmic, and hypnotic, because it's kind of like binaural beats. We're creating rhythms within rhythms that affect your brain and your being in certain ways to help the deeper energetic intention actually get in more effectively. So we're helping your brain and your body relax, and your heart for that matter, and all of the organs, different organs, receiving the energy, because they all have different frequencies, right, that they resonate with. So we're producing ranges of sounds that achieve various outcomes biologically and physically energetically, as well as spiritually energetically, right? So it's interesting. It's interesting, but you don't need to overly think about it. That's the point. I get interested when I start talking like this and start bringing through information that even I don't think about that often, because ultimately it doesn't really matter how it works. It doesn't really matter how it works. The fact is that I know very well that it does work, because I've been doing this for long enough to see so many results with different people, including myself, that I don't have to really concern myself with how it's working. I just know it is working, and all I need to do is stay in the space where I know it works most effectively, which is when I'm basically relaxed in my heart and just expressing as fully as I can in the moment what is coming through. So, hopefully there's some stuff there to help you get started on that. Joe wrote a little bit later down that feed here. Hi Matt, I have another question if you have time. Did you always know from an early age that you were a spiritual being? Or did you have a dark night of the soul which helped you remember? How did your spiritual process happen? Sorry if it's personal. You don't have to be sorry. I'm very happy to talk about my personal experiences, as long as you all recognize that my personal experience might not be your personal experience. So for me, I'll start at the beginning. Did you always know from an early age that you were a spiritual being? I always knew from an early age that I was a little bit different, and that wasn't always held in a positive light in my own mind. I always knew that I was quote unquote weird. Whether for many years I didn't actually perceive that as a good thing, and I certainly didn't have the terminology of spiritual being. Yeah, I went to church. Yes, I was interested in God and higher meaning to life because I recognized for myself that I really struggled to find happiness and joy in what the majority of society was radiating or suggesting where I should be finding my joy. Right, I didn't find a lot of pursuits particularly or deeply as satisfying as I would have liked, right? Succeeding at various things didn't feel nearly as satisfying as it was kind of made out that it should be. So I was looking for more, definitely. Or did you have a dark night of the soul? I've had many dark nights of the soul on my journey. So it's not a if this or that, it's both, right? Yes, I knew I had a connection with spirit from quite an early age, and I spent a lot of my time alone, and I spent a lot of time in nature. I was lucky enough to grow up with bush right at our back door, right? Not a big expanse, we're in the city of Sydney, but we had an area of bush, and I was lucky enough to be close to the beach as well, so I spent a lot of time in the water, and so plenty of alone time with nature as I was growing up. And along the way I've had many dark periods where depression and despair and sinking into the unworthiness of myself, not good enough, and really wondering what I'm supposed to do to make this life mean something have occurred. Basically in every decade there's been a period of that. Including this year, right? There's been periods of what you could call dark nights of the soul, where it's for several days, really struggling with the energy that's arising, and really not feeling that motivated to partake in normal, functional human living because the vibration that I am processing is consuming and quite dense, dark, uncomfortable. So all of those experiences help me remember who I am and what I'm here to do, and what is truly satisfying for myself. So I think what it's important, Joe, to understand is this: remembering that you're a spiritual being is not a one-off event. It's not a one-off event. We have rememberings. Hey, Sister Michelle, we have rememberings, and then we still have to keep remembering. We remember and we forget, and we remember and we forget. And there's no completion to remembering who you are, because who you are is continually expanding anyway. And your capacity to remember yourself, reunite with the magnificence of you is ongoing, right? That capacity to actually embrace ourselves, honor ourselves, enjoy ourselves is an evolution rather than an event. So it's not that I've had my dark night of the soul sort of attitude. So that's done. It's kind of like Kundalini awakening. A lot of people say, oh yeah, no, I've had my Kundalini awakening. It's like, fuck. Sorry, but really, that process for me is an ongoing one of energy refinement. There's some peak experiences, and you could say, oh, that's your Kundalini awakening. But if you think it's some sort of completion, initiation, I feel you're a bit deluded, because it's an ongoing evolutionary process of energetic refinement in allowing this biology to be more in tune with your spirituality, right? Your energetic state of being. And we are developing as humans the ability to go beyond what any human has done before, right? Even the greats. And that might sound like blasphemy. But the opportunity we have today is it's a slightly different tangent to the opportunity they had several 100,000 years ago. We've had some peak times in biology, and each time the biology morphs and changes. This one coming up is different again to the ones we had Lemurian times, Atlantean times, and other times, to inhabit a body that is more energetic of nature and less carbon-based dense. So this remembering and this ability to really express ourselves as a energetically spiritual being is evolving. And certainly the greats that are in our history memory, like over the last, let's say, 10,000 years, if we look at some of the older Sanskrit texts, about 10,000 years old, oldest ones. So certainly in that time, this planet has been dense. And the great saints of that time only had certain abilities based on the vibration that was available. Yeah, there has been some exceptional beings, avatars, the Babaji type avatars who did inhabit light bodies and have been around, but they have been very much limited to where they could show up. They resided in the high mountains, very remote areas of the world where the vibration was high enough for them to attain that state of being or maintain that state of being. That's changing, right? The vibration of Earth is changing dramatically, which is what's creating a lot of this expungement or this purification or detoxification of crap at the moment, which is quite uncomfortable on the planet. But nevertheless, it is giving us a great opportunity to be in human form. And speaking of which, this sort of dovetails into what Sister Michelle wrote in, which was, "Hi Matt, I'd like to know if there's any way to protect ourselves from all the 5G and what other waves and whatever other waves are going on through the atmosphere. I live in Toronto, a big city with approximately 3 million people and lots going on. I live close to the downtown core. Recently I went to the country and I noticed I was calm, peaceful and at ease all day, no stress about anything. As soon as we got back to the city, I felt the buzz of the city and stress of life came back to me." Yeah. So this is, that experience is a great experience to have, Michelle, because it reminds you of just how much we are influenced by the vibration of things around us. And certainly, I've been living here in the Cook Islands for 3.5 months now, so 15 odd weeks. And it's certainly very conducive to relaxing into your state of being, right? And to remembering who you be. Because the vibration in such places is much more conducive to us relaxing into that state of being, right? The brain waves calm down, the stress response releases, and our body relaxes into a state that allows intuition and allows release and allows a lot of things to happen. So is there a way to protect ourselves from living in the city? And yes, of course there are lots of ways to protect ourselves from both man-made vibrational interference and collective consciousness, group consciousness, and all of what other people are thinking and experiencing, because that influences us as well, quite a lot. So it's not just the obvious pollution of 5G, 4G, 3G, 2G, radio waves, microwaves, television waves, and all of the other BS that's going on in our atmosphere, even the buzz from electricity, right? The radiation that's coming off the EMF from transmission wires, and just even wiring in our homes has an effect on us. It's not natural, it's not particularly conducive to our biology, at least our old biology, being in harmony, right? We enjoy, as an animal, as a biological animal, we enjoy having our bare feet on the earth with earth energies around us, not all of these man-made energies. And it's also very beautiful to be in a collective of people who are relaxed and attuned with abundance consciousness and spiritual living and higher ideals, rather than a bunch of people who are vibrating with fear and greed and consumerism and survival mentality and lack consciousness, because those waves that people are emitting, both from their heart and from their mind and from their gut and from their whole being, is very much tangible to us, right? Very much affects us. So, how to protect ourselves? I find for myself personally, and I'm not actually wearing it because I should be, because I've got my laptop right here in front of me, and I'm sitting in front of my phone, but I just didn't manage to, I don't even know where it is actually. I think it's in my shoulder bag, because I probably took it off last time I went for a swim and never put it back on. But I like shungite, which is a form of carbon. So various crystals can help us. Quartz crystals, if they're programmed to sort of sustain our own vibration, is very beneficial. All sorts of vibrations can be beneficial, but there's not one size fits all. That's important to know. I find shungite works well. Shungite's great to have around our house at home. I have several pieces of shungite around areas. So the sleeping areas all have shungite in them to help minimize the amount of or harmonize the radiation that we're influencing. And I also have shungite around areas that are dense in electronics, like my computer station, my workspace. So I find that useful. There are lots of different things out there that you can buy. Some of them are probably reasonably worthless, but in terms of what they actually do, you can get stickers and this and that and all the rest of it. Basically, though, please don't underestimate your own beliefs and how strong they can be, which sort of dovetails into, all of the other stuff that we're experiencing from other people and stuff like that. Yeah, crystals also help to protect us from that. I find the best protection, though, what I'm trying to get, I think what I'm circling around is trying to say, don't think of it so much as trying to protect yourself like some sort of fortress that keeps this bad stuff away. But what helps me is to choose to strengthen my own vibration so that I'm radiating out an energy field around me that buffers me from the external world. So the stronger that I am resonating my own vibration, the more safe I am from everything else, including, man-made toxic vibrations, including, physical toxins like air pollution, water pollution, and all the rest of it. The stronger our own vibration is, the less that stuff influences, the better our body works as in purification, so that when we do breathe in toxins, diesel smoke, all of it, right, the better our body is at purifying that and releasing it, minimizing the influence it has over us. And that goes for, the microwaves and the 5G and all the rest of it. The stronger we are in our own vibration, the better off we're going to be. So to achieve that, we just have to do our own spiritual practices. We have to invest time in doing our breathing and our meditation and actually visualizing that our solar plexus and our heart is radiating our own vibration out around us, so that we feel that we're not so much in like a bubble, because a bubble has a skin, but we're more like a light bulb or a candle burning, right? I like a light bulb because you don't have to worry about the wind with a light bulb. But, it radiates light so far. It doesn't radiate light forever. Like one light bulb doesn't light a whole football field, right? But, when you're close to the light bulb, you actually have light. And as it goes out, it actually, it gets less and less. But darkness can't envelop that light bulb. Imagine one light bulb in the middle of a football field. It's burning. Everyone can see it from wherever you go. You can see the light. It's burning bright. But the light only has so much influence. That's us, right? So the stronger that we radiate our light, if you change it from a 40-watt light bulb to a 100-watt light bulb, then the light goes further, and it's more intense at the same distance, right? It's the light falls away in a cubic relationship because it's going in 360 degrees. So the stronger our own light, so it's not like a bubble, it's more like a radiation, but the stronger we get, the further our light goes away from us, and the more intensity it has, the closer stuff comes. So darkness can't basically fight its way upstream. And 5G, 4G, 3G, 2G radio waves, television waves, infrared, microwave, Bluetooth, all of these waves can only have so much influence over you if you are very strong in your own vibration, right? It's just a matter of amplitudes. The stronger your own amplitude, the less you are influenced by incoming radiations, including other people's thought forms and other people's emotional states of being. So do your self-care, basically. And, that could involve using crystals. It could involve using crystal elixir sprays or whatever, right? Whatever you do. Crystals in your home. Protecting your sleeping area is good. Protecting your person when you're out and about. Putting a shield on your phone all helps. And choose where you live. I know that's not as easy said as done, but really we all have legs. We can all move. We can all move. And while it might not be practical to actually move permanently, spend as often as you can finding places that are less influenced by the radiation that is or less impinged by the radiation that's highly influencing you, right? So I know that you have struggled with anxiety and stress, and you've just come to realize that your place of abode doesn't help. And when you get to the country, it actually helps you relax a lot. So the good thing about that is you can relax out of making yourself so wrong, right? This is not you failing, although it is a challenge now. How do you protect yourself? How do you keep your vibration strong so that the external world doesn't influence you as much as it has in the past, right? But the important thing for you to recognize is you're not a broken human who is anxious, right? You don't need to wear the label of anxiety. You just have to recognize that your environment, you're basically sensitive. That's what you are, and that's not a wrong thing. But you are picking up on the anxiety of a lot of the energy around you rather than it being your own. Yeah, of course it triggers, and the thoughts that arise as you're feeling all of this anxious energy around you makes it feel like your own, and in some ways it is yours that's getting triggered from within you. But when you change your vibration, you can take a rest. So take that to heart. Choose to plan to get time in nature and in higher vibrational spaces as often as possible, and think about where else where you spend the majority of your time, because potentially it would serve you to get out of the city. I know I would never go back to living in a city, but it's just not worth it. And even after saying, well, if you're really strong in your own light and this and that, you can hold it at bay. The thing is, it is an influence, right? It does take strength to maintain yourself in dense, dark places like cities. So why? Unless we've got a reason to go there and be there, which there is from time to time, and I can very adequately maintain my vibration to go into such places, but I recognise that it takes energy and it's an effort to do so. So why not, when you can, spend time in high vibrational places that actually enhance your lifestyle and your sense of being in the world, rather than ones that are a struggle to exist within. So some things to think about. But ultimately, ultimately you can do things about it. Most importantly is your mindset and your own practices, breathing, choosing to relax out of all of that stuff, and choosing to radiate your light out as your own natural buffer against the world. Anyway, my friends, that's pretty much our half hour. I think I might have gone a little bit over because I was terribly late getting on. 33, coming up for 33. It's always good, isn't it? 33:30. Yeah. So much love to you all. I will be back next week. We'll be back in Rarotonga this time next week for our last week here in the Cook Islands before we have to fly back to New Zealand and shine our light in other places and deal with what's going on over there in terms of, no doubt it is following in Australia's footsteps, and in some ways what Canada is attempting to do as well with vaccine mandates and all the rest of it, eroding our personal freedoms in many ways. So not exactly looking forward to that, but I recognise that it's coming, and it is something that we are reasonably passionate about. So it's been good while it lasted over here, escaping all of that in a very relaxed atmosphere here where it's not in your face at all. Anyway, my friends, much love. I will speak to you again soon. If you have any questions, comments or concerns, please feel free to reach out. This group is here for you. You can always put a post in, and we will all support you, all however many of us, 800 and something here in this group, here to support each other in being bright lights on the planet, which, you know, can be inspiring each other to greatest heights, and it can be supporting each other through the difficulties. Both are very important. Anyway, friends, much love. Bye for now.